on to 5, The Dream Child. I mean, 5 kind of continues with Alice, but Alice discovers that she is literally having a child.
Yeah.
Whether that was done by Freddy or some form of dream impregnation or something like that. It's not really sure, but she's aware of her own child.
But the movie opens up with Alice having sex with her boyfriend, so that has to
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But she's aware of her child, what her child looks like before the birth. And Freddy is trying to come back using her own child, which is a cool concept.
It is.
It's very personal, that kind of thing. And the actress does a good job,
Right.
The side characters aren't really that memorable. I don't really
remember them. They're again,
I remember the death of her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Danny, better not dream and drive. Death on a motorcycle was a cool scene.
I feel the need for speed.
I don't really remember anybody else. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but it's one that...
I have their names written down. You have a guy who's like a comic book fan, Mark, who loves comic books.
Right. That was like I said, I apologize if I don't really remember every single detail. It's been a bit. It's been a couple weeks.
Right. Right. Well, that's why I wrote my notes down.
Yes, this had the comic book. I always kind of conflate 4 and 5. But yes, this had the comic book character, which, for lack of a better term, he could have devolved into comic book stoner cliche, but he's actually smart. And he's actually the one guy that believes her.
Yeah, that's true, because the other friend, I think it was Yvette. Oh yeah, Yvonne. Her I found annoying because she didn't. Well, I mean, obviously, who's going to believe
Alice? That was the chick
Alice?
that died off the board, right?
Yeah. She was she loved to swim. Yeah,
right.
And that actress is good, but she's been in other good stuff. Like she was in The People Under the Stairs. She was in Mask with Eric Stoltz. Yeah, exactly. But her character is kind of annoying in this movie.
Yeah, not everybody's going to land. We're going to be getting the most annoying characters soon with Freddy and Jason, but...
Right. In some way, this subplot feels like A Nightmare on Elm Street meets Rosemary's Baby.
A little bit. I couldn't shake the feeling. Rosemary's Baby, the original 1990 Unborn.
I didn't see that one, but I'm familiar with it.
Had no relation to the movie of the same name. But the less said about that, the better. But yeah, it does sort of feel that way. We do get more backstory into Freddy.
Yeah.
The son of 1,000 maniacs. We do find out who the nun is. The nun is Freddy Krueger's mother.
Yes.
We technically find that out at the end of 3.
True.
But she's kind of the soul kind of keeping Freddy at bay, and thanks to Alice, she's, with the help of Amanda Krueger, Freddy is put away, quote unquote, for good for now.
Right.
And it's one of those sequels a la 2 that's flawed. It's flawed, but it's still got some good stuff, and it does expand on the lore.
Yeah, I kind of agree, but at the same time, it's like, this film just doesn't do much.
I honestly think it's probably one of the weaker ones.
It is.
But
right.
But that's all I can say about it.
Because again, cliche characters. Freddy's not scary, saying his one-liners and
this is sort of Freddy's kind of lost the scariness for sure.
Yeah,
but in its place, it's become sort of funny icon, complete with comic book depth of Super Freddy, which is
I did like that.
One of my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street scenes.
That was probably one of the most creative, unique kills of the series, where he kills a guy
and makes him a comic book page and slices him up, and so that was really cool.
Yeah, and especially how this. I'm thinking to myself, I'm a comic book fan. I'm like, this scene was meant for me in some ways.
Yeah, and it's funny because say what you will about comic book nerds, but that was kind of ahead of its time. Now comic books are kind of in the mainstream. Now it's cool, but it wasn't cool.
Yeah. Right.
Still kind of very nerdy niche kind of thing.
Yeah. it's kind of funny how like when like they're at that pool party, like he had a cut or something. He's like afraid of his own blood. Yet he reads comic books where there's like blood and guts.
Right, and that was kind of the sort of the irony, he could, and they point that out. They're like, oh, you can read all this stuff with blood and guts, but you can't say
right. Like if he sees like
real sight of your own blood.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't know why the style kind of reminded me of like Sin City to some degree. But
a little bit, and I think that's what they were going for.
Yeah,
kind of the Frank Miller homage.
A little bit. It had a Frank Miller homage to it to some degree. I'm like, yeah, there's some Frank Miller inspiration here. Also, I want to read I want to say the words that he says where he spoofs Superman: faster than a bastard maniac, more powerful than a local madman. Super Freddy, more evil Freddy. Yeah, definitely a spoof of the.
Like I said, Robert Englund is still giving his A game. That you could say about all the films. He's one of the best things, even in the worst ones you can think of.
Right, true. What did you think of the character Greta? That was like a girl that Mark had a crush on. Like she's like beautiful, and her mother's like high class and like pressuring her.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. Yeah,
it was, but her mother was a bitch, and also her mother was like
she probably had one of the most. Just I felt bad.
Same
for her death,
Yeah,
in the same way that I felt bad for the guy who basically Freddy made commit suicide. The puppet, I forget his name. In part 3.
Oh yeah, right. I think it was Rob. I think
Rob, was it Rob?
Something like that. Yeah, but I could be wrong. I'll edit that. I'll re-edit that in.
Yeah, like I said, I apologize for not knowing everybody's name. It's been a while. Yeah. I literally watched a couple weeks ago all these in one go.
Right.
So
right.
If I miss people's names, I apologize.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is. Like, it's not like how the first movie where you had like memorable and interesting characters. Now at this point, they're just cliched.
Yeah. They're kind of cliche at this point.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there anything you want to add about 5?
What did you think of like the scenes when like Alice comes across like the little boy that turns out that's her like real son?
Well, that's what I just talked about in that we see the kid, and it's actually really cool. I don't know the actor's name.
Me neither, but I know he was in Jurassic Park. Actually,
he was.
He was.
The kid looks familiar. I'm sure he was.
Because remember, like when they're looking at the pterodactyl, the Velociraptor like fossil, and he's like, "That's not scary." Then he like scares.
I almost thought, I could be completely wrong. I almost thought that was the kid that ended up being Donnie Darko, but
it's not. No, it's not Jake Gyllenhaal. Not
I could be dead wrong about that.
I think this kid actor was like in a few things at the time. Then he just disappeared.
Yeah, that happens.
It happens. Yeah, true.
But it had, like I said, even Dream Child had some interesting stuff for sure.
Yeah. What did you think of Alice in this film compared to the last film?
I think she wasn't. She's still fairly good. Like, the actress is still fairly good what she's given, but it's sort of kind of the character's a little exhausted.
Yeah.
It's still not bad, but kind of sort of getting to the point of overstaying its welcome.
Right. It's not like on the last film where she had like all these powers after one of her friends died, and she's not as badass.
And they tried to do the same thing in Dream Child. They tried.
Yeah.
I don't know. It didn't land as much. And like I said, it's not a bad film.
Yeah. I did like the scene.
I think it's still decent.
I did like the scene though, like how like after when her boyfriend died, her parents wanted to raise her child. It's like there's
and like I said, there is some interesting drama.
Yeah, a little bit. And her,
like I said, it's very personal, and that's the one thing I really like about it. It's very personal in that Freddy is coming after her child.
Yeah, so that way he can like get inside her body. I mean, his body. I mean, the baby's body. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sounds living through
the child.
It sounds like another body horror.
Yeah, it's very much body horror.
Yeah, like the Brood.
With that said,
like the Brood.
Yeah. But with that said, do you want to move on to Freddy is Dead Part 6?
Also, one more they want to touch upon too is Alice's father is like he basically sobered up and their relationship's a little bit better, and he's supportive of Alice having the baby.
Right, the father. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. I don't know his name, but that's besides the point.
There is some pretty cool development with the father, in that he basically stops being this loudmouth drunk, and you kind of see this sort of character development where he's like, okay, I have to let my daughter be my daughter.
Exactly. Let her grow up, let her do her own thing.
And that was a nice touch. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he also says, like, I hope it's a boy because his son died in the last film. I guess he would like a grandson and a boy to run around. And
really touching stuff for a horror film. Some really touching personal stuff.
Yeah.
Like
not the best, but...
It does it right.
Yeah. It's hit or miss.
Yeah.
I guess
With that said,